Chapter 36. Jehoiakim burns Jeremiah's scroll. Of course. So we're going to start off with, remember, Jehoiakim was the king of Judah. And he's going to burn Jeremiah's scroll. So let's see what that's all about, right? In the 4th year of Jehoiakim, son of Josiah, king of Judah, this word came to Jeremiah from the Lord. Take a scroll and write on it all the words I have spoken to you concerning Israel, Judah, and all the other nations from the time I began speaking to you in the reign of Josiah till now. Perhaps when the people of Judah hear about every disaster I plan to inflict on them, each of them will turn from his wicked way. Then I will forgive their wickedness and their sin. So Jeremiah called Baruch, son of Neri, and while Jeremiah dictated all the words the Lord had spoken to him, Baruch wrote them on the scroll. Then Jeremiah told Baruch, I am restricted. I cannot go to the Lord's temple. So you go to the house of the Lord on a day of fasting and read to the people from the scroll the words of the Lord that you wrote as I dictated. Read them to all the people of Judah who come in from their towns. Perhaps they will bring their petition before the Lord, and each will turn from his wicked ways, for the anger and wrath pronounced against this people by the Lord are great. Baruch, son of Neri, did everything Jeremiah the prophet told him to do. At the Lord's temple, he read the words of the Lord from the scroll. In the 9th month of the 5th year of Jehoiakim, son of Josiah, king of Judah, a time of fasting before the Lord was proclaimed for all the people in Jerusalem and those who had come from the towns of Judah. From the room of Gemariah, son of Shaphan, the secretary, which was in the upper courtyard, at the entrance of the new gate of the temple, Baruch read to all the people at the Lord's temple the words of Jeremiah from the scroll. When Micaiah, son of Gemariah, the son of Shaphan, heard all the words of the Lord from the scroll, he went down to the secretary's room in the royal palace, where all the officials were sitting. Elishama, the secretary, Delaiah, son of Shemaiah, Elnathan, son of Akbar, Gemariah, son of Shaphan, Zedekiah, son of Hananiah, and all the other officials. After Micaiah told them everything he had heard Baruch read to the people from the scroll, all the officials sent Jehudi, son of Nethaniah, the son of Shelemiah, the son of Cushi, to say to Baruch, bring the scroll from which you have read to the people and come. So Baruch, son of Neriah, went to them with the scroll in his hand. They said to him, sit down, please, and read it to us. Okay, so just a quick background. Remember, Jeremiah was living towards the end of the kings of Judah and towards the end of the reign. And so at this point, he was known. He was known to deliver messages to Jerusalem and Israel, to the kings, and tell them basically that disasters falling upon them. Things were going to be bad because they continue to sin. They continue to go against the will of God. And so here we see, even though he's speaking words from the Lord, telling them the truth, telling them righteousness, they're refusing to listen, so much so that they banned him. They banned a prophet of the Lord. They banned someone who was spreading the word of love, hope, guidance from the Lord. They banned him from the temple. Of course they did, because they didn't want to hear it, because that was condemning them. They didn't want to be responsible for their own actions. They wanted to continue to do things their way. They wanted to continue to manipulate the Lord's word, and that came up in a conversation again just recently where, like bringing past to present, where people don't see that the Lord's word through people, and even the devil knows the Lord's word. He doesn't understand it fully. He doesn't understand the meanings, the power behind the Lord's will, because the Lord's word, the Lord's will, same thing, because it's not of him. He is a creation, and so he doesn't understand. He doesn't get it. And even people today, there are people that go around, utilize scripture just freely, and it may not be guided by the Lord. It may just be words. It may just be utilized in their own manipulation. You can say that in so many different ways. Like, have you ever played the game Telephone, where you start off with the message, and by the end of the game, by the time it gets to the last person, the message is not what you had informed the person, right? Same way with the Lord. That's another way you can look at the Lord's word. So here's Jeremiah when it comes to how people manipulate and utilize the word. So here comes Jeremiah telling them, writing it down, telling the people, this is what is being proclaimed. And all of these events have been taking place little by little, slowly and slowly, more and more. These things have been happening, and they don't know why. They don't, they're continuing to worship their own gods. They're continuing to mix in the Lord's work, the worship of the Lord with whatever. In fact, having Asherah poles and stuff and a Baal idol within the temple. They're continuing to manipulate so that they can continue to find themselves righteousness. That's self-righteousness. That's something that's not that the Lord's providing, saying, hey, you've done the will, you've shown love, you've loved me, and you've loved others. No, they're doing their own pride and arrogance. That's reflective of not the Lord, that's reflective more of the devil. So here's Jeremiah following the guidance from the Lord and telling Baruch to go, or pronounce his name correctly in the comments, and I thank you so much, to go and tell the people of Jerusalem, to tell the people of Judah what the Lord has proclaimed over and over again, like all the words that he's been telling them, and so that they can see, yes, this is a pattern. Yes, things are coming to fruition, and see, perhaps the Lord's saying, perhaps they'll see this and they'll turn. And so Baruch went during the time of mourning, during the time of fasting, because of course, right, they're going to do some things of the Lord because they think, well, I can worship the stars and the moon, but I can also do fasting because the fasting is not only going to, because there's gods, GODS. And so it's going to please the God of Israel, and then it's also going to please the moon and the sun, whatever, because at this time they just were doing whatever to see what works instead of relying on the one true God who works and works at all times and talks to them constantly. So anyways, that's a little bit, I know that was long. And bringing past to present, like I mentioned before, being careful of listening to guidance from others, whether it be a commentary, whether it be people just spouting scripture, just whenever you get those feelings like, is this from the Lord? There's a reason for that. When you're reading commentary, pray, because a lot of things that people say, it's very helpful. It can be very helpful for wisdom, for history. I've read commentary and received background as to things that I may have missed, maybe during history classes or what have you, things that maybe that person had went to that particular area in the world and experience things. So there are things that we can glean, right? Think about that, harvesting, and think about the Old Testament. That's a really good one. Anyways, there are things that we can still glean and be able to utilize for information. But we also are to, first and foremost, is lean into the Lord. Pray to him and ask him for guidance. Ask him for wisdom. He can put all those pieces of the puzzle together for us and let us know and provide revelation, provide that wisdom. So, and we also don't want to be ones to just spout out verses. Just because we thought of something doesn't mean necessarily that it is appropriate or correct for the situation. So you may think of a quick verse in your mind that comes to mind, whether we memorized it or what have you, but immediately seek the Lord's guidance, because it is his words, right? Okay, and there's power in his words. Before we go on, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind when we read over this? How does it make you feel and what does it make you think?